look back, can't turn around, can't find the ground on which to stand. Oh, where have I gone? Away from you.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Psychedelic here. Acid Archive Diaries number 17. Here we go. So this is a special one in some ways for me. Back in 2016, I made a little trade with Parchment Farm, Blake, if you guys follow him on Instagram. Quite a knowledgeable dude, and he's got quite the collection as well. Made a trade back, I think it was around 2016, 2017, around there. I traded like 3 LPs just for this one, and you know, couldn't pass this up when he offered it to me. Federal Duck on Music Core. And this also got released in Canada, but it was through Music Core, but it was printed on Columbia back in 1968. And you know, just to get this one for basically free, I'm not going to complain. I could use an upgrade down the road. Plays about VG, but considering it's a pretty soft record, stylistically, it's got some surface noise here and there, but I have cleaned it since then, and it does sound a little better in spots, but it doesn't look too bad either, looking at it. But let's see, it's got a nice sheen to it. Yeah, I think these are kind of ranging between original copies, 75 to 100 bucks now. It really hasn't changed since I bought it. I don't think the price has really gained too much since then. But this is a record you can still get for a reissue on the real label. It was pressed on orange vinyl. And you can find those for like 12 bucks on Discogs, I found out. And there was a reissue before that too on Munster, which I think is going for about the same price. I think that's on black vinyl. So it's got the reissue treatment, thankfully. And before that it was like radioactive, so have some unofficial stuff going out there. But yeah, let's talk about this. So, self-titled, their one and only LP. And you could probably categorize this best as like psych pop light. It's pretty light on the psych influences overall, especially on the first side, especially, you know, kind of opens up a little dry. Tracks like Knowing That I Loved You So, Easy Virtue Blues. You know, nothing too crazy, pretty simple, straightforward tracks. But once it gets to one of the top 2 best picks on here, Tomorrow Waits for Today, and then stuff kicks in. It's a great track. Kind of reminds me in a lot of ways, it gives me like some Freeborn vibes, Peak Impressions. A little bit of that, maybe some Puff on MGM. Yeah, it gives me a little bit of those vibes on here. Kind of the quirkiness about it. And then it kind of goes back to Just Like the Snow. You know, I don't mind the track, but it seems a little too long for what it is. It's very slow paced. It's got a recorder going throughout, kind of very sleepy vocals. And then right after that, there's a track called Bird. It's almost a 6-minute cut. It's like the only fuzz break you ever get in this whole record as far as the fuzz guitar is concerned. It's very brief, but the majority of the track's kind of interesting. They go into this whole freeform jazz segment, piano and what is it, like a French horn? Yeah, French horn, tuba, a little bit of brass here and there, but it's not overt. It's not over the top or anything. And then throughout the album, you'll find little snippets, like at the end of side 1 here, a track called Hello. They do this kind of like cheerleading squad kind of thing where they like give me an H, double L-O. Federal Duck says hello. You know, kind of a quirky little segue into side 2. I'd say side 2 has the meat, or at least the stronger portions of the record here, While You're Away. A lot of short tracks though. But I'd have to say, you know, obviously probably the fan favorite on here is Peace in My Mind, which is also my favorite track. And I'll feature that track in the beginning of this video so you guys get a little taste of what that's like. It's very dreamy, you know, a little bit of jazz touches here and there too. It's got that French horn, but I like the vocals, the way they're arranged. It's like double takes The same vocalist, but two different takes. And it kind of gives this really ethereal kind of vibe to it. It's kind of interesting. And then immediately after that, it gets ruined by a thing called Just a Band, where I think it is the lead vocalist who's the banjo player. It doesn't list banjo on here, but I looked into him, George Stafus. It says he plays guitars, but he released an album on Vanguard as well, which I haven't heard. I think it's a little more acoustic driven, but I guess he was a banjo player, and they do this kind of fiddle and banjo kind of comedic moment, or at least to them it's comedic. To us listeners, it's kind of like, ugh, why'd they do that? Kind of ruins the whole flow of the record. And then right after that, Friday Morning, again, kind of seeping into those kind of dreamy, moodier aspects, along with Dawn Comes Slow. And then another, probably the weakest cut on here, Ain't Gonna Be Nobody to Sing the Blues. Kind of goes back to that kind of hokey pokey, dance with your partner kind of ragtimey shit. But thankfully it's a 2-minute track. It doesn't last very long. And then the last track, Circus in the Sea. I kind of like the track. I don't like the chord progressions too much, but it's an interesting, kind of way to close the record out. It's got some sound effects thrown in, some like water pipes and stuff like that. So kind of like the Troll, like I've discussed in the past, this one has some quirky moments as well. They obviously heard Sgt. Pepper. Everybody did, right? But they're trying to do this whole kind of, maybe not a concept, but it's, poking fun at all those kind of quirky, chic things that were happening at the time with studio trickery, and, got to throw some humor in for what it's worth, to them anyway. But yeah, overall, comes out with 2 very strong tracks, Tomorrow Waits for Today and Peace in My Mind. If the whole record was like that, it'd been a 5-star record for me, because that is the stuff I love, man. Peace in My Mind, it's got some great organ too in some spots. Not only that track, but a few others. Nice use of organ there, and good drummer as well. Can't say much about the guitar work on here. It's not very, it's not flourishing or anything. It's just kind of more or less the rhythm guitarist, if anything. But yeah, got a little bio here, I think, on the bottom. I haven't really read that in a while, so I couldn't tell you, but let you guys read that and pause it. On the Music Core label, like I said, we got some other records on there like Paper Garden, Tinklin' Mother Circus. I have those 2. I have the reissue of Paper Garden though. But overall, I probably don't love the record as much as I used to. Giving it a listen this morning, I'm not maybe as crazy about it as I once was, but it's still very, very tight record in some spots. It's got some great moments, though it may be spotty, And, at least the price isn't like outrageously expensive, but get one more shot here of the label. Music Core. The Federal Duck, what a name. I was kind of surprised to see Chris Kibler, been catching his videos on Acid Archives, and he did one of my all-time top 5, top 10 favorite psych pop LPs coming from the US. Bittersweet, Hypnotic One. Good pick. Otherwise, I would have gotten to that eventually. I do have that record, and that is like, for me, that checks everything I love about psych pop. So let's dive into our second edition, the Acid Archives, with our free jazz sticker once again. Okay, so Federal Duck, Pennsylvania. Yeah, it was recorded in New York City. I didn't know if it was Pennsylvania, or I knew it was somewhere in like the New England area. White label promo exists, and this gets the 1 rarity. And then this book only has the reissue of the 2004 CD reissue on Radioactive. Couldn't tell you how it sounds, but I know some of the vinyl records don't sound very good on Radioactive, being a bootleg. Okay, let's read this. So, an underrated album whose silly cover gives no clue to the moody late night sounds inside. It's comparable to a more structured Freeborn with a mild jazz influence, great bass playing. Yeah, the bass player is pretty good too. And a dark vibe. A few upbeat songs break the mold. One sounds just like the Holy Modal Rounders. But this is consistently good, better than a lot of albums with 10 times the price tag. Banjoist, George Staples went on to a solo career of some note. That's the one I mentioned on Vanguard. He released a solo record by Aaron Malinsky. So kind of a short review there, but makes for a short video. So once again, I do recommend this. You checking it out for some of those psych pop fans with some, brushing a little bit on a jazz pop side. And yeah, no rock to be found on this one, really. So if you think side 1 is a little weak on first listen, give it a little shot, and side 2 will deliver a little more than what you maybe you were expecting. So that about does it. So Federal Duck, still very happy to own this. We'll see if an upgrade happens down the road. And that is all I got. So my next video is going to be a special one. Hopefully I make it on the day of a certain event happening. I'm not going to give it away too much because I want the video to be kind of special, but it might be a half hour long, who knows. Hopefully I can record that this weekend, we shall see. So give Federal Duck a listen, Peace in My Mind especially. And that was also sampled by somebody, was it? I'm not good with hip hop. Yep, I forgot the guy's name. Oh well. Okay. Till then, we'll see you soon.